All right, here at the Gatehouse in Thrive City for another episode of the Dubs Talk podcast. The one and only Hall of Famer, two-time Emmy Award-winning Warriors insider here at NBC Sports Bay Area, Monte, Poole. I am Bonta Hill, and as always, the Dubs Talk podcast brought to you by Man City Sleep World. The Man City Sleep World year-end clearance sale is happening right now with some of the biggest savings of the season. I talked to you about the Beauty Rest Queen mattresses starting at only $299. Go ahead and talk to them out there in Berkeley. Casper mattresses starting at $495, plus you can get 0% financing, including on Tempur-Pedic, starting at only $29 a month. What a deal. What a steal. Shop sleepworld.com. That is sleepworld.com. Let's get down to business here, Monte, as the Warriors.
I got something else to say about that, though.
$29
a month?
Yes. That's
less than $1 a day for a month. I mean, for great sleep, who wouldn't pay that? I'm just saying.
Look, that
anyway,
it's a great point.
$29, 30 days, except for February.
Except for February.
Yeah.
Right now. Got to get it right now. No, Man City Sleep World will probably take care of you in February.
Yes,
they got something going on all the time. New deals, new steals, new savings, all that stuff. That's a great point, though.
Anyway.
$1 a month. Wow, I didn't think about that one. Maybe we'll get one right here at the Gatehouse for all the late nights we spend.
Might not want to go home.
Yeah, might not, especially for those Tuesday 8 o'clock starts that we have this season. But the Warriors, they're in the midst of a nice little break after beating the Chicago Bulls, going 2-1 on a 3-game road trip. They're now practicing as we record this podcast. They'll get ready for the Minnesota Timberwolves Friday for the first time since they saw them in the second round of the Western Conference playoffs. And Monte, we will get into Jonathan Kuminga. We're going to get into who's coming back on this for this game Friday. Maybe Steph plays, Draymond Green, hopefully, and Al Horford. But this feels like, as we're 25 games into the season, 13-12 the Warriors are, this feels like the beginning of a new chapter for this season. It feels like Steve Kerr found something on that road trip. Pat Spencer's playing more. Guy Santos is playing more. Quentin Post, what do you know? He's rated number 3 individually when it comes to defensive rating. He's playing a lot more basketball. We're starting to see some of the rotations here with Anthony Melton back. This does feel like the beginning of a new chapter in this 2025-26 season.
I don't want to say it's the most important segment of the season, but it kind of is. And I say that because they already are what they are, 13-12. 14, I think that my math is right, 14 of the next 20 games, Chase Center. If you're going to get it figured out, this has to be the time. And after those 20 games, late in that 20-game segment, the Kuminga thing starts to get traction because that's January 15th.
Yep.
And so you're deep into January late during this run. And so the health thing has to be cleaned up.
Yep.
You know, the little aches and pains, and guys nobody's been out for the season, but it's been, 2 or 3 games here, 4 or 5 games there, 2 or 3 games here. They still have to worry about that. I mean, that's could be an issue all season because of the age on this team.
Yep.
But you're right. I think this stretch, is one where they got to figure out who they are. They want to say they found something, and maybe they did. But this stretch will tell us if they actually did.
Right.
Because they thought they found something before this season, early this season. And things change. So I know with the vets on this team, Jimmy, Steph, Draymond, and Al to a lesser extent, but those 3 at least, they all understand what's ahead now. And they have now they've seen the supporting cast step up in some games. Won a game. Supporting cast won a game, Pat and Pods and Moody and QP and all. They've seen those guys step up, and if you listen closely to what they were saying early in the season, between the lines they were saying, we know these guys can play, but it doesn't always happen.
It's about being consistent.
Yeah, and so
there's been no consistency with some of the role players on this basketball team,
and that's what they've been asking for. Jimmy and Draymond have really been asking for it almost loudly. Saying, hey, come on, we know, we practice with you people. We know what's going on. One night you're here, one night you're there. One night you're out there playing real bulldog defense. The next night you're just playing matador defense. What's going on here? And so I think what happened in those last couple of games on this trip was that the young guys got a jolt of confidence when they won a game without those guys. And that can go pretty far. And so now it's a matter of assimilating with those guys and still knowing your role, playing your role to the hilt, while also understanding that you are a role player.
Well, consistency with the roles, right?
Yeah.
It's hard for a player to gain. I'm not making excuses for anybody on this roster, but when you don't have a consistent role, it's hard to get into a consistent rhythm. And I do believe Steve Kerr's had trouble finding that out because through the first 25 games, Steph has missed 9.
Yep.
Draymond's missed 5. He had to leave a couple games early.
Yep.
Jimmy Butler had to leave a couple games early, right? He's played in 21 games. But again, Al Horford, he's only played in 13 games.
Yeah.
Where does he slot in?
Yeah.
You know, you have some DNPs now. Kuminga's been out
Yeah.
for some games here. He's only played in 17 games and got the DNP against Chicago, something we'll touch on in that whole saga here.
Right.
Because you mentioned the January 15th date. The Warriors have 16 games until that date,
Right.
January 15th. And the odds are a trade's not going to happen right on that date. It's going to take some time here. Now, they're probably doing making some phone calls right now.
No, they are.
But yeah, there's no doubt about that.
Yeah, they've been
calls.
they've been digging into this for
For
a
months.
while. I mean, I don't know if they ever stopped.
Yeah, it's been happening since June.
Yeah.
It's since the season was over. So that will play itself out. But it's not going to happen right away. Teams are going to be in different spots. Who may be potential suitors, they may say, hold on for a second, we're going to stick with what we have. So we'll get to that in just a second. But when you don't have a consistent role, and we've seen this on this basketball team, and let's face it, the vets at times haven't been the most consistent. Draymond's had the turnover issue. You know, Jimmy Butler, he's been solid for the most part, but that impact in certain games, you're like, you want Jimmy to take over a little bit. Steph has been fine, and he went on a barrage, started against San Antonio with the spacing that they have, but Moody hasn't been consistent. Will Richard is a rookie, and I think they're happy with whatever he's given them.
Yeah.
But they need the main young guys they need consistency from. And we don't know what may happen before the trade deadline on January 15th. But it's been Moody, it's been Pods, it's been Kuminga. Now, Quentin Post has gotten a little more consistent recently, but they need that consistency. And I think part of the reason why, again, as I mentioned, is Steve Kerr doesn't know the roles for these guys. He's juggling different lineups. How many different lineups so far this season?
13?
13 now, 12? And it's been happening in 7 straight
14.
games or 8 straight games. So when you don't have a consistent first 5, you don't have a consistent rotation. Is GP2 playing 4 minutes or 25 minutes?
Yeah.
That's where players really struggle to try to find a rhythm because you got to stay ready, but at the same time, it's like, boy, am I going to get the minutes? What is it going to look like?
So much of that, though, with the sporting cast, so much of that is based on matchups. You know, there's going to be times when Quentin Post, who's in the rotation, might play 10 minutes.
Yep.
Depends on who they're playing. There'll be another night when he might play 26 minutes. So, and this GP2, same thing. He might play 4 minutes one night. Now, Minnesota's coming in town. I bet you he plays more than 4 minutes. You know, even though, to me, Gary's defense isn't what it was a couple of years ago, he still gets up for a guy like Anthony Edwards.
You think that's good for this team long term?
What's that?
When you think about it, when guys don't know if they're playing 4 minutes or 20 minutes, is that good for the overall health of the basketball team? Because, again, Steve Kerr's going to – and it's different when you had Andre Iguodala and Sean Livingston and Otto Porter Jr. And all those veterans on our roster.
Right.
You've got a lot of youngsters here.
Right. It's harder for youngsters to accept that. You know, the veterans can make that adjustment pretty easily. But young guys, they get in their head sometimes. It gets in their heads, and then they'll, well, what does that mean for me? What about me? What about me? Well, the veterans are more secure. They're like, I know I'm a part of this team. Whether I play 5 minutes or 25 minutes, you know, I know I'm here.
Yep.
And the young guys don't always get that vibe, and that's where the coaching staff has to come in and tell them. And you don't tell them always by minutes because you don't always have the minutes.
Right.
And if the vets are healthy, you have even fewer minutes to be spreading around. You know, if you want Draymond and Jimmy and Steph to be playing 32, 34, 36 minutes, you know, that's a lot of minutes right there. Doesn't leave a whole lot. So here's the other thing too, is that when you look at what they've done so far this season and you look at where they're trying to get to, they've been inconsistent with the turnover issue.
Oh, no doubt.
I mean, there's nights when they're like really good, and there's nights when they're like, oh my goodness, 25 turnovers?
Yeah.
And even, you know, they've even won a couple of games where they gave, you know, team a bunch of 24, 25 points off turnovers. You don't want to, they're not good enough to do that consistently.
No doubt.
And they know that, and that's been preached to them. That's been something that I know Steve and his staff have harped on. That has to be one of the most important things because it looks like the guys are now dialed in on defense.
Right.
The young guys, which is what the vets were asking for. I mean, Jimmy and Draymond basically were saying,
Think about what
make
they
them
just
feel
did.
you know.
Yeah, well, think about what they just did. They just held Philadelphia, Cleveland, Chicago, 100 points.
Yep.
And Draymond Green missed the second half against Philadelphia. He left the game in Philly with about 4 minutes left in the first half, 4 minutes and change. So they are locking in better defensively. But when you take care of the basketball, guess what? You get more field goal attempts.
Yeah.
You get more shot opportunities.
Yeah.
And when you do turn the ball over, all of a sudden it affects your points in the paint, which they've been terrible at, right? Opponents' points in the paint against the Golden State Warriors, the point differential has been staggering here.
A lot of those are fast break points off turnovers.
Exactly.
Live ball turnovers.
You know, and then second chance points. Now, it does help when you add in DeAnthony Melton.
Yes.
So all of a sudden, when you think about athleticism, and we preached this all throughout the season, every game they're at a disadvantage when it comes to athleticism. Well, DeAnthony Melton helps with that. And his point of attack defense, we've seen the impact right away. Now, Tyrese Maxey got his, but we saw the final possession where DeAnthony Melton forced him into a tough shot.
Beat him up,
He beat him up. We saw him against Chicago. Kobe White didn't have a big-time impact, right? DeAnthony Melton helps with that. So when you get more athleticism, all of a sudden, you can get the more 50-50 balls. You get to more the hustle stats, right? Diving out of bounds, grabbing the loose balls, getting extra possessions there. That's one thing that's hurt the Warriors through the first 25 games.
No, it has. It has. It has. And to see it kind of be so inconsistent, you know, if you're a vet, well, the vets, like they always say, Jimmy always says that only people who can have turnover are Steph and Draymond. He goes, I ain't supposed to have no turnovers, you know? And so the young guys sometimes get caught up in that. You know, I mean, Pat was really good. Then he had a 4 turnover game.
Right.
Pods had that issue off and on this season too. But I still think that game in Cleveland, when they came back and won,
to score
12
points in the first quarter.
When they found a way, when they found a way to win that game against that team, like we said, that team has been smoking them the last couple of years.
Right.
Just not just beating them, thrashing them.
Right.
And so then I think you saw that carry over in Chicago. Chicago's not nearly as good as Cleveland.
Right.
But the way the Warriors came out in that game, there was fire in their eyes. And I think a lot of that was, hey, we just beat the Cavaliers without Draymond, without Steph, so the question is, how long will that carry over? Because that could be the start of something. Could be really big because they were burnt after that Philadelphia loss.
Well, I think that's where the change started, Monte.
They were torqued about that.
Yeah.
And then they go into Cleveland and beat Cleveland. Okay, now we got something. They felt better, and they go into Chicago and they roll them. So the question is, how long now will that have legs? You know, you want to think they found something, but I'm still in wait and see mode because we've seen this team win 2 or 3 in a row. Well, we haven't seen them win, 9 out of 10.
No doubt. And you play Minnesota Friday, then you have to play a Portland team on Sunday in the PDX. They haven't beat the Blazers yet this season. The Blazers have had their number. Denny Obvious having a spectacular season for the Portland Trail Blazers. But I actually believe the second half in Philadelphia, they found something. You started to see some signs in the second half against Oklahoma City. They're down 22, I think, against OKC in that third quarter. Draymond Green picks up his 4th foul. They got back into the basketball game. And all of a sudden, obviously, we were arguing about whether or not Pat Spencer deserved to finish the game. I thought he deserved to finish that game.
I thought he did too.
He didn't. Pods did.
Who thought he didn't?
Right, who did. But then Steve Kerr said, you know what? I'm not making that same mistake Thursday night in Philadelphia. So we think about last Thursday in Philly.
Yep.
He plays every single second of the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
Who doesn't play in the fourth quarter? Well, Kuminga doesn't play in the fourth quarter on back-to-back nights. Pods doesn't play in the fourth quarter. And it was like, message, you got to play better basketball. You got to take better shots. You got to get the team in a better offensive position here. Got to play some defense. Pat Spencer finished that game. You saw some big plays from Guy Santos. So I thought the start of it, we started to see some signs here, Monte.
Yeah.
And then Thursday, I felt actually really good because they lost that game on the VJ Edgecombe, put back there with 0.8 seconds left. I was like, all right, he made a great play. Fundamental error. Somebody didn't box out. You're watching Tyrese Maxey and Melton force him into a bad shot. But the fact that they came back in that game and really shook Philadelphia, I said, oh, okay, maybe this is the start of something now. The carryover didn't come into play in the first quarter against Cleveland, but Cleveland only scored 18 points.
Right.
So they kept the Warriors
Cleveland
in the game.
Yeah, that wasn't a good game for them.
Cleveland's a mess right now.
Yeah,
so the Warriors are able to put it on them in that second quarter and take an 11-point halftime lead, and the rest is history. So the beginning of this next chapter, after 25 games, I think we're going to see a better rotation, a tighter rotation. I'm eager to see Steph start, but how does he employ DeAnthony Melton? Because I'm with you. Melton needs to start next to Steph at some point this season. But again, Melton may not play back-to-backs.
Well, no, he probably won't play back-to-backs for a while. But that's the part that DeAnthony Melton was a part of this team his last couple games. Well, 2 of the last 3 games. And he gave him something both times. Both times. And he gave him some stability, first of all. You know, he didn't come in and throwing the ball all over the place. He took smart shots. He played good defense. I think the fact that they won a couple of games, and a Cleveland game was big for them because, again, like we said, they had an axe to grind with the Cavs. And then to have Melton come back and the next game and play well, to me at least, when they look at the roster now, it's more like you have a guy in DeAnthony Melton who can give you 25 minutes a night. 25 good, solid, professional minutes. And they also obviously found a backup point guard on that trip. You know, because Pat right now has got to play. Now, if he cools off, okay. But right now,
he's T.J. McConnell. He's whatever type, and I don't mean to typecast him, but that's who he could be, and I think even better. He's pressing guys 94 feet. He's getting 2 feet in the paint. Think about the way he backed down Kobe White in Chicago. It's like, damn. Think about the fadeaway he hit over Chet Holmgren.
You look at the backup point guards in this league, and TJ is always the one of the names that comes up. You know, is he the best backup point guard? Tyus Jones. And I think Pat has the potential to be better than both of those guys. He's bigger than both of them. First of all, that helps. But like you said, you know, he also plays with a certain tenacity. And TJ plays that way too.
He plays like a guy who wasn't wanted, and he's playing his last game of his career saying, man, I got to play hard.
I got to prove
or
every
I'm
minute.
Get cut. He plays desperate. And I like that desperation coming from backup point guard. No doubt.
So his position, his role, his minutes are always going to be in doubt until they're not. And right now, what he's given this team, when Steph gets back, he's going to be the key to the non-Steph minutes in ways that we all thought maybe Kuminga would be when the season started. You thought, okay, when Steph's off the floor, the Warriors play a little bit different basketball, and J.K., that's his opportunity to thrive. Just like I thought it was his opportunity when he came back and started, and he didn't play well. It's like, you know, he was not good. He was 1 of 10 shooting, and he did have 7 rebounds. He pointed that out, so he was playing, you know, pretty hard basketball. But the turnovers and the handle, the way he wants to play is still not the way that best suits the team, what the team needs.
I always thought the best JK on this team, playing in a dunker spot, a la Gary Payton II, defending at the point of attack like he did that first week of the season, first 2 weeks of the season, where he's defending the top opposing guards and the top opposing wing players, and then just slashing and cutting to the basket that we saw in the second round against Minnesota. But now that we're here with Jonathan Kuminga, he picked up the DNP Sunday, and he said all the right things after the game. All the right things. This marriage is over. And this marriage has been over for a long, long time. You know, and I just hope that until we get to January 15th, it's already, everybody in the Bay Area is talking about it. JK this, JK that, and everybody's got opinions. I'm going to say this right off the rip. It's best for both parties to move on. And I felt like this in the summertime. Try to get what you can. The Warriors couldn't get what they could. And the whole summer negotiations, and it's obvious that Steve Kerr and JK don't see eye to eye. It's obvious.
JK wanted out. And the Warriors wanted to move him. So they were already looking forward to a separation. And it didn't happen. So it didn't happen. So now it's like, it really is. It's like like a married couple that, realizes that, you know what? This is no longer going to be a compatible relationship. It never really was. I mean, they've tried to make it work in different ways, and you know, it was always going to be a square peg in a round hole situation. And when you talk about JK being in a dunker spot, that means that he doesn't have the ball. JK wants the ball. He wants the ball. Man, that's the thing. You can put him in that spot, but then is he going to be happy doing that? You know.
Yeah, I mean, he was early in the season.
But he had the ball. He was getting the ball.
A little bit, they were passing it to him, but he was also cutting. You look at those clips against the LA Lakers. I know it's the first game of the season. Boy, it looked good. Jimmy's getting him involved. Steph's getting him involved. They're running a split action with him. He's screening. He's cutting. And all of a sudden, and I think this is when it was over, to me, in my opinion. They get blown out in Oklahoma City, and Oklahoma City's blowing everybody out. But after the game, Draymond said what he said, and Jimmy said what he said. And look, you can't tell these young kids not to live their life, but they look at social media for some sort of validation, right? People roasting them, people praising them. They're looking at all that stuff, and it's getting into their heads. It's a new generation now. We could all say, hey, man, don't put up social media, but we're in a different era. We're in a different generation, right? So Steve Kerr the next day saying, yeah, we're going to have drastic changes to the lineup. And when JK got pulled from the starting lineup, that's when I felt like they lost him because he played tentative in that first half. And we could say it was bilateral knee tendonitis. I saw a very passive JK playing as if he didn't want to make a mistake. You can't play basketball at this level like that. You got to go. You got to play without, at times, thinking about making a mistake. I saw the same thing with Moody his first few years in the league where he's looking over his shoulder. Damn, I turned the ball over. Wow, that was a bad shot. Who's at the scorer's table? What's going on here? And so to me, when they got blown out in OKC and they switched up the starting lineup, and like the first 5, the next 2 games didn't play great in the first quarter. They scored, 12 points at San Antonio, then 18 points. Yeah. So it wasn't like they got off to great starts, and that's been an issue for this team, getting off the better starts in the first quarter. That, to me, was the beginning of the end. And now this marriage is already probably over. But to me, for this year, for this season, to get the best out of JK, that was done after Oklahoma City, in my opinion.
I mean, I know the beginning of the season he popped for a while, but I don't know. I guess I'm thinking they're trying to make it work. And even when he was popping, there wasn't like, okay, now he's playing Warriors basketball.
See, I
disagree. That was never the case. No, he was not.
You even said
he was scoring. He was playing his best basketball.
No, Marty, but
he was playing his best basketball.
Yeah, he was.
He was seeing the floor better.
Marty, you were saying that, wow, JK, look at him buying in.
No, I didn't say buying in.
No, you was on the postgame show. You were shocked.
You got me confused with Aaron Turner. I mean,
nobody. Everybody was bought in, like everybody in the Bay Area. I can't believe JK bought in. We got to give a young man credit. We can't. The guy was bought in for those first couple weeks playing Warriors basketball.
He played his best basketball of his career. I will say that.
I don't even know if it was his career because he played pretty damn good basketball last season.
No, I thought it was the best basketball of his career because he was doing things he had not done before. JK was getting 4 and 5 and 6 assists, which that's not his, he doesn't see the floor that well, remember? And now he's seeing the floor better. To me, that was the biggest change I saw this season. But again, it's the thing about Steve Kerr is that he's trying to adjust too, from having the smartest team in the league for all those years, and now he's got these young guys who don't have that high IQ, and it's an adjustment. He's trying to play the same style of basketball with guys who don't get it. And so it takes him a while to get it.
And think about it, though. These young guys haven't played a lot of basketball. Moses Moody came out after his freshman year
at
Arkansas.
That's a big part of it.
Pods is a youngster. Kuminga played for the G League Ignite, didn't play college basketball.
Right.
He's been here since he's 18 years old.
Yeah.
It's been difficult trying to get minutes and practice. So
now you're getting into the draft situation.
It's bad. But what is he? Is he a 4? Is he a 3? Is he? Go back to Hawaii in training camp where Draymond said, hey, he's a 3, not a 4. Steve Kerr the next day says, he's not a 3, he's a 4. So we don't even know what position he is, according, so it's been, he's a tweener, what is it? But
I thought the Warriors were positionless.
I thought so too. So when I look at the
big and everybody else.
So when I look at this situation and I look at the drastic changes they made to the lineup, and then you see, oh, wow, he didn't play the fourth quarter. He was part of that run against OKC. Now, he had some bad possessions during that run against OKC, but he was part of that lineup that got them going in that third quarter. Wow, he didn't play the fourth quarter against Philadelphia. Didn't disagree with it.
Here's the thing.
So the whole situation now is he's completely checked out. I think it's safe to say he's looking forward to January 15th saying, please just get me there without being hurt.
Here's the problem you got here. You got a guy who doesn't fit your style of basketball.
No doubt.
You got a guy you want to trade.
Mm-hmm.
How do you find ways to give him an opportunity to shine so he'll have some trade value? That's going to be the thing they got to figure out here in these coming weeks.
So
they got to figure that out because right now his value is down here.
But if you start playing him, Monte, and he doesn't fit, and he's in this rut that he's in now,
if he stays
he's going to get the best value you may get for him is by just not playing him. Because if you're starting to win games, right, and Guy Santos is what he said, you're starting to win some games, and you start to find some rotations, and guys are like, oh, wow, this is looking good. Wow, look at the pacing. Look at the spacing. Wow, they're rebounding. They're playing. Then why even play
Sometimes
him?
it's hard to trade a guy who's just sitting on the bench.
No, it is. But there may be some other teams who already have their evaluation saying, if we bring them into our system, we're going to get this out of them.
Yeah, I mean, you ask anybody who's been around the NBA for any period of time about this league and about Kuminga, and the opinions go from here to here.
No doubt.
There are people who, oh yeah, no, he should be playing. He's this. There are people like, I'm trying to figure him out. It's year 5, and so you look around the NBA now. You see guys who are in year 3 and year 2 and year 4, and they were already all-stars. You know, yeah, some of these guys like Kate Cunningham started from the bottom.
You know, they got to play through it.
Yes,
Franz Wagner got to play through it.
Yeah,
Paulo got to play through it. Not saying that Kuminga's those guys, but their opportunity to play on losing teams early helped them. When you come to a team like this, hey, you need to figure out how to play with Stephen Curry. Playing with Stephen Curry, yes, it's easy because you're going to get easier shots. But if you're a youngster, think about all the AAU teams. We're just talking about Jamal Crawford. Even off the air with Jamal Crawford. They don't play this read and react style. It's a lot of isolation. Let me get mine, pick and roll basketball. These youngsters aren't accustomed to playing this brand of basketball. It's tough. Now, Will Richard has some of that experience at Florida. But think about it. He's a 4-year college player. So he got to mature. He got to play the system that was conducive to the NBA, where you get a guy like Kuminga, and guys got to learn on the fly. And I'm not even making excuses. Some of it is on Kuminga. Our last podcast, I was very disappointed with the way he played against Cleveland because you know the opportunities are not going to come fast and furious.
When you get one.
So when you get one, you have to take advantage of it.
Yes, you do.
And he hasn't taken advantage of those slim opportunities. But now, as we move forward to January 15th,
you're going to see him.
You're going to see him,
you're
and then
see him.
Something's going to happen.
And you should see him. But you already know what he can and can't do. You know, and so J.K. wants to be, he wants to be a focal point.
Right.
And focal point means having the ball a lot.
Does he want to be a focal point? Does he?
No, he wants to be a supporting cast.
I think he wants an opportunity to flourish and be part of the crew. Like, I think he wants to be part of the big 3. I think he wants to be part of a team that's saying, hey, empower me to make an impact. Just empower me to be a big impact. I don't want to be a role player. He's basically saying, I don't want to be Guy Santos.
No,
I think that's. I don't think he's saying, "Hey, I want to be Kobe right now." He knows damn well he ain't Kobe, because if he thinks he's Kobe, then he's delusional. I don't think he's ever said that. I think he wants to just be, "Hey, help me impact winning. Help me be part of the squad. Let me finish games with these guys." And that's where I think the conversation gets misconstrued when it comes to Jonathan Kuminga.
I'm just gonna say this: free JK. Yeah, let him go someplace else and play and see what he can do, because there's half the people who out there are saying that JK could be a star.
I don't know about that.
But there are people out there who believe that.
I agree.
Okay, let's see. I want to see him be a star too, but I don't see it happening here.
No, it's not going to happen
with
this
team.
Done, Monty. It's done here.
Yeah, and I don't care who the coach is. Yeah. I don't care who the coach is. If Joe Lacob comes in tomorrow and says, "Oh, Steve, you're done. I'm going to bring in Chris DeMarco. We're going to hire him from the New York Liberty."
No doubt.
I don't think it matters much. I think here it's done.
It's done.
And so give him a chance to go someplace else. But that salary slot has to come in handy for the Warriors to get something that they can use, a player that can be in their rotation on a nightly basis.
Which is why this deal was a win-win, I think, for both sides. JK got some good upfront money.
Yes.
And the Warriors had the team option and the ability to say,
the Warriors won the deal, though.
Right. Yeah, at the end of the day, it may have won the deal.
I mean, this right now it's hard.
But I think JK making this $22.5, $24 million is saying, I got that money plus my first-round contract, and I'm going to be free from this situation.
Yeah.
Sometimes a change of scenery will do a player good. We just saw this with Andrew Wiggins. Think about Andrew Wiggins' reputation when he was in Minnesota.
Yeah, but he went from Minnesota to here.
And he went, exactly. But I'm just saying, change of scenery sometimes help a player.
Yes.
They will help a player. We'll see if it helps JK. But I think this ship is sailed with him.
Yeah.
And personally, with us, no more JK podcasts sometime after January 15th, because we're going to find out who he is and what system. Now, if he goes to the Wizards, you're in a situation.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, you go to a situation like that, like people already have made a determination about Jordan Poole, right? Where you're in a culture, like the Wizards and the Pelicans, might as well not be in the NBA. They're not ran like NBA organizations, right?
Yeah, but we know Jordan he's a really good offensive player. We know that.
Yep.
He can get his.
We don't know about Kuminga yet.
No, we don't. That's the thing.
And
we saw Jordan on the big stage.
Yep.
Cook. So we know what he can do. And he's the one Warrior that draft pick in recent years who went but you already knew he could do that when he left. You didn't trade him because he couldn't do it. Most of the draft picks they've had here haven't been able to do that. And so you say, well, who have they drafted that went someplace else and became a star?
Yeah.
JK would be the first one who, at the Warriors, he was inconsistent. Look at him now.
Well, Ryan Rollins is playing pretty damn good.
He's close.
He's close. He's playing some good basketball.
And he was a second round draft pick.
He was a second round draft pick.
Yeah.
JK, by the way, it is fascinating because you brought up the big stage. I still give him a lot of credit because he was in the same situation going into the playoffs, not playing out of the rotation.
Out of the rotation, yeah.
That dude balled out against Minnesota. Now, could he have rebounded better? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
He got buckets, though.
But he got buckets, and he tried his ass off against Anthony Edwards to defend him when nobody else was scoring on that team.
Yeah.
Everybody else was struggling on that team outside of Jimmy. So I think we saw him on the big stage, which is what wet the beak of a lot of other suitors and other NBA players who were watching around the league saying, wait, he's been on the bench? Because the conversation, as you mentioned, it's gone from here to here. We hear about former players on podcasts. Wait, JK's not playing? Why not? He's doing that against Minnesota. Where's he been hiding?
I did when this summer when I talked to a bunch of people around the league as they were trying to figure out what to do with JK, and one Western Conference front office person said, and he used the word fear. He said, we would fear him coming off the bench.
Wow.
Because he could wreck a second unit.
Wow.
He could do damage against second unit.
Wow.
And that was, they'd already seen him do that in Minnesota, in the playoff situation.
Yep.
So, and that's why going into the season, you're thinking, JK could be the solution to the non-Steph minutes. When he comes off the bench, but he doesn't want to come off the bench.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to come off the bench.
So
all the avenues for him to show his greatness, which one does he want to take? Because the bench would be where it would start.
I just know we got about 16 games till January 15th. And we're going to be checking our phones every single day, every single hour, every single minute to see
texting
where he's
people,
traded
calling
to.
people.
But I just hope it doesn't get messy over the next 5 weeks. And hopefully he can play well with this team. But DNP against Chicago, the 32-point win, not a good sign, Monte. And that's another bookmark here, or another page we're going to turn to in the beginning of this new chapter, seeing where the Warriors are at, 14 in the next 20 at home, and now you got the JK situation that's looming. It's the elephant in the room.
Right.
The elephant in the room. And so far, the Warriors have been able to navigate through that. And as long as they win games, that noise dies down.
Yeah.
But the Warriors struggle, and it continue to be a 500 basketball team.
Right. And
this conversation is not going to go anywhere.
And it shouldn't. If they struggle,
Yeah.
if they put together some winning, and then that changes everything. So
we get heated out here, man. The JK stuff, man. JK, man. What is the Bay Area going to do without JK?
I just want to see him. I want to see him be the player that he thinks he is and thinks he can be.
Yeah.
But we know he can't be that guy here.
Nah, it's over here. I agree with you that, man. That's Monte Poole. Really good stuff here. We got the T-Wolves Friday, the Blazers on Sunday. Then they get a little bit of a break, and I believe it's a back-to-back against Phoenix.
You got a little time.
Yeah, you got a little time here. So the Warriors got a little time to get healthy and right over the next few weeks here, especially here at Chase. And all right, that's it for us. The Dubs Talk Podcast, always brought to you by Mancini Sleep World. Shop sleepworld.com. That is sleepworld.com. Again, Monte mentioned this. Tempur-Pedic starting at only $29 a month. And we just get 3 here, Monte. Just
It's $1 a day.
$1 a day.
Less than $1 a day.
Listen, we can't even afford that here in the NBC Sports Bay Area.
Whoa!
I mean, come on, man. Shots fired, right? Shots fired. No, I'm kidding. They take care of us. Shop sleepworld.com, sleepworld.com. From Monte Poole, our 2-time Emmy Award-winning Hall of Famer at NBC Sports Bay Area. I am Bonta Hill. Till next time, everybody.